What's up and welcome back to the channel for another video. I thank you so much for coming to check out another video here on my channel. So in this video, I am going to show you my color correcting and foundation routine, my current color correcting and current foundation routine, because I've done my foundation on here before. I've showed you my color correcting, but I've done some things to tweak that. So if you're interested in seeing how this 46-year-old color corrects and does her foundation, then please continue to watch. All right, y'all, so let's get this thing started. So the first thing I always do before I start my face, and I've been eating some mixed nuts, so let me get those off of my mouth. But the first thing I do is moisturize my lips, and this is almost empty. So I'm going to go ahead and tone my face, and I have two toners that I use. I either use this that I recently got, Peach and Lily, the Good Acid Pore Toner. I got this from BoxyCharm, or I use my Witch Hazel. Now, for those of you that have been here with me for a long time, you know that I have dark circles under my eyes. And some of you, not just because recently I showed a video when I did my facial hair and some other things where you could see the dark circles under my eyes. I've been had these dark circles under my eyes for a while. I've learned to live with them. I don't know whether it's hereditary, the reasons that I have them, or if it's because of my anemia, or if it's a combination of both. But it is what it is, and I have to deal with it and live with it. So with that being said, after I tone my face, I go in with a moisturizer, and believe it or not, the moisturizer that I have been using lately has been this aloe vera cream that I recently got from iHerb, and this is a really good cream. It's not too thick and it's not too thin, and while I have oily combination skin, I don't need something that's going to be greasy on my face, because that just wouldn't work. So if you are someone that has oily skin, using a product that carries a lot of grease in it is not going to work for your skin. It's going to have you looking like a disco ball. Not disco ball, that's like a highlight, like a grease ball. Okay, so, and I try to make sure I don't get any on my eyebrows, but if I do, I just go back in with the swab that had my toner, and I just wipe over my eyebrows again so that my application of me doing my eyebrows won't get messed up because of that. So this is not an eyebrow video, so due to the fact that I'm not covering brows in this video, I'm going to go ahead, go off, do my brows, and I'll be right back. Okay, so while I'm not finished with my eyebrows, I just thought about, I wanted to come in and show you all what I do with my priming routine. Before I go in with my primer, I use a spray on my face. So I either use the Fix Plus by MAC. I have this option that I use sometimes by Iconic London that you shake up and it has the little shimmers in there. But today I'm going to use the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Ultra Fine Mist, and I spray this on before I put my primer on, almost as kind of like a double prime step. Well, I guess triple prime. So after that, I go in my primer, and my primer of choice is the Fenty Pro Filter primer, and so I'm going to put this on, but this is not the only primer I'm going to put on. I'm going to put on another one as well. All right, y'all, so I had to change my shirt. I felt like that one was kind of casting upon the screen. Okay, and so for my second primer, I'm going to use the Milk Hydro Grip, and I use this one with my mattifying primer because I use the mattifying primer and I use the mattifying foundation. While I need the mattifying effects of them, I don't need it to be too matte to where it looks dry. So therefore, since I've had the Milk Makeup primer, I use this one to kind of give a little bit of hydration. All right, so let's get into this color correcting. So I used to use just like an orange color corrector by itself, either this one, or I would use this one, as well as I've used the LA Girl orange one by itself. But what I've learned, because of my skin tone and my undertones, the orange was just too much. So what I do now is I mix the orange and the yellow, or I'll just do the yellow by itself. So I just take my tweezers and I get a little bit out of the orange and I put it on the back of my hand. Then I take a little bit of the yellow and I put this on the back of my hand. And then I take them with my finger, my ring finger, and I mix them together to give me sort of like a terracotta look. And then I go and I put it under my eyes, because I do color correct under my eyes, of course, because of my dark circle. So I color correct under my eyes. And then I take the blender and I just go over it ever so lightly to blend it in. So that is how I do my color correcting. I don't color correct around here, nor do I color correct under here. The foundation will cover this up because like I said, I have a few spots up under here from where I tried to get the laser hair removal, but I don't color correct those. The foundation covers that up enough. So now let's go ahead and get into this foundation. Right, so for my foundation, you already know I'm using Fenty, and I have a neutral undertone, so I use a neutral foundation. And I had to learn that, and I'll go into foundations and undertones. I've had someone to ask me about how I choose my foundation colors. I'll go into that another time, but today I'm just going to basically give you the basics. So my normal regular color that I've been using from Fenty is the 360. Well, here's the thing. While we are in quarantine, I have had to go out the house, and once I go out the house, the sun tans me automatically. It's like the sun is an automatic tanning bed for me. And so during the summertime, depending on how many shades darker I get, I'll switch straight to the 385 by Fenty, or I'll mix the 360 and the 385 together. And right now I'm going to mix the 360 and 385 together. So I'm going to use 1 pump of the 360. Look how I skeeved out, but 1 pump of the 360. And then 1 pump of the 385. And then I'm going to take my ring finger once again, and I'm going to mix these two together, and I'm just going to tap it all over my face. Now sometimes, and I've used a pump and a half of one and a pump and a half of another, or I'll use 2 pumps of the 360 and 1 pump of the 385. It just depends on how much foundation coverage I'm going for, I guess you could say. But what I don't want to do is put on too much foundation. I don't put on too much foundation. I put on just enough for me. So what I do is I take my brush, and I don't use a blender for my foundation. I use a brush exclusively for my foundation. If I use a foundation, because I do switch up my foundations every now and again, and if I use a foundation that leaves streaks, then, and I say the foundation leaving the streaks and not the brush, because I don't know, I think it's the base of the foundation that can sometimes cause streaking, because if it was the brush, it would happen with every foundation I use, but it doesn't. So therefore, I'm just going to say it has to be the foundation. And then I just go in and I get the blend it in everywhere, all over my face. And as you can see, this is just the right amount of coverage. It is enough. So next, of course, what I do is I conceal. So I used to only use 1 concealer, but lately, since I have been doing some highlighting, I'll use 2 concealers. And today I may use 1, I don't know, but I'll use 2 concealers, or I'll use 1 concealer. Yeah. And so this concealer that I'm putting on right now is the 350 by Fenty. And what I'll do is I'll put on my concealer, and I'll let it sit just a little bit. Of course, got this technique from Jackie Aina. This is something that has changed in my foundation routine, because I did not used to do it this way. And while it is sitting, I'll go in and I'll go ahead and add my contour. And then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and blend in my concealer. And then sometimes I'll take it and I'll go on the top of my eyelid. What I'll do is I'll take my second concealer color, and today I think I want to use the Tarte Shape Tape, because I want to highlight it a little bit more, not too much, because that 350 kind of highlighted me enough. And then I'll just take and put it right there, kind of a technique that I've learned here on YouTube, because some of the things I do I've learned on YouTube, and some of the things I do I just do what I feel is best for my face and for my age. Because here's the thing, you can't take everything from YouTube, at least I can't. I'll put this second one here and down the bridge of my nose, and then I'll go ahead and I'll blend this in. Making sure not to go down too far with this one, just keeping it kind of up there in this area. And then I'll go and I'll take my foundation brush, And then I'll go and blend out these harsh edges. So you see how smooth that got? Then I'll go around here in this area. All right, and so for my setting powder, I have been going through trying to find the perfect setting powder, and I have yet to do that. But as far as my technique, I've gotten that down pat for myself. Now, before I used to take my blender and I would go in with my blender, go into my setting powder, and then I would set it. And what I found was that left a white cast, and it made my lines more pronounced on my face. And sometimes, depending on what concealer I use, it will still give a white cast. And so I have to be mindful of that. So that's why I like to pay attention to the things that I use. But what I'm doing is I'm taking my Laura Mercier. Yes, I'm using the Laura Mercier. I have the powder. This one is a mix of the translucent and the translucent deep, dark deep, or whatever it is. Because I can't use the deep one by itself because it's too dark. So I just take my brush and I just go ahead and put it under my eye. I do not bake because the powder will definitely set in my fine lines. So I just make sure I set that with whatever setting powder I'm using. And then once I've done that, I go in to set the rest of my face. And I use two things to set the rest of my face: my medium golden mineralized skin finish from MAC, or my NC42 Studio Fix from MAC. And I know that that is a foundation in and of itself, but I do use that to set the rest of my face. So I just go and I set the rest of my face with that powder. And then I even go on this area just a little bit, not too much. And then once I've done that, I spray my setting spray. Alright, so that is it for my foundation and color correcting routine. If there's anything else that you would like to see here on my channel, then please do let me know. Go ahead and turn that subscribe button from red to gray and make that bell have some symbols on it, because you've clicked it for notifications every time I upload some new shenanigans. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Once again, I thank you so much for coming to check out another video on my channel. And as I always say, so until the next time and in between time, you ladies and gentlemen be safe, and I will do what? See you in the next one.